We are back on Taking Care of Business on Kern Radio Newstalk 1180 with our guests, Carlo Baldovinos, who's the new executive director of Bakersfield Rescue Mission, and Jeff Gowling from the Bridge Bible Church. Carlos, Happy New Year to you.
Well, Happy New Year. Good to be with you all.
Get a little closer to the mic there. There you go. Christmas Day, in between a couple of events I had going on, I snuck over to the rescue mission, and I just wanted to walk around, take a look at the place.
He had to sneak over, by the way, Carlos.
Yeah, he snuck over. Wow.
I just kind of walked over there, and Pastor Frazier was fantastic. He gave me a nickel tour of the place, and I was really, really impressed. I mean, it's an incredible facility you have there.
We have just a great grounds there that have been constructed and they actually have the capacity to do a lot of ministry.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not your typical rescue mission. I've visited thousands of rescue missions throughout our country here, and nothing compares to what we have. So we have great grounds. Thank you for coming on by.
You know, it's funny. I went by the. You're welcome. I went by the rescue mission in L.A. when I was down there, and no comparison. No comparison at all. The grounds you have there, I mean, it's like a campus, and you've set it up like a campus.
Yeah, and that's the former leadership that was there. Their goals and dreams were to invest on the overnight population, to invest in the programs like you would at a college campus. You know, if you look at where all the resources, our monies are put into in these days in education, is the college campuses. State of the arts. Beautiful facilities. That's what they aspired to do here when they remodeled the campuses a few years back.
Talk a little bit about the campus you have there, because I know you have two buildings on the side there that Pastor Frazier was showing me that had actually people that are there. I think there was 30 men in one facility and 20 women in another that are actually there long term, that are actually doing it's basically a Christian learning center, or...
Well, it's a Christian recovery. It's for those folks that want to come clean from drugs and alcohol and want to be set free. We help them in the areas of discipleship, how to restore their lives back to where they need to be. Obviously, everything's focused around Christ. It helps them to overcome these things, all these addictions. We try to help them through that. It's a year program for both men and women. We're in the process of just revamping that and reviewing all those processes, and how my goal is how can this person be a total success once they leave our program, once they leave our grounds. That to me that's where the success lies. Not that they just graduated out of a year program, but where are they going to be in a year from now or 2 years from now, and so on? Are they back with their families? Are they back to contributing back to society? How is their faith in Christ? What are they doing to share about Christ, especially gone through this journey called addiction?
Now, how is this different from the rest of the complex, where you've got the people that are homeless, that are there for a less permanent amount of time?
Yeah, the folks that you have there, like in those two other areas that we talked about, the overnight guest, what we currently call his. Those folks are long-term and sometimes short-term homeless populations. We try to help those folks with job placement, trying to help them clean up, provide a cup of water in the name of Jesus, give them a plate of food, wash their clothes, provide a bed to sleep. But sometimes those folks may not want to be there to get help in the long term. We're a facility that we're willing to help. We want to help people get their lives back together in the name of Christ, to help them restore these things. But some others, you know what? They just may want them. Maybe they just need that physical nourishment for the time being. But you know what? As we do it in the name of Christ, hopefully it'll resonate with them. The Spirit will tug at them. That is the hope, to help these folks, get into that.
And what is your overnight population right now?
We roughly have about 170, 180 overnight guests. Right now the numbers are peaking around December, January, because of the elements. It's cold out there, so you may have upwards of 250, 280 per night.
Is there any limit as to how long they can stay at the facility?
Well, we try to set some parameters in place where, if a person may not want long-term help, to get job placement, those kind of things, you know what, they may stay there for a while. But again, we're reviewing some of these things. How can we help better serve them? How can we get them placed into possibly a government agency that can help them? Maybe there's some mental illness and so on and so forth.
But you basically have three different activities going on.
That's correct.
You've got the Christian
recovery
program. Then for the homeless, a lot of those people are there, from what I understand, a couple of months possibly, if they're serious about getting off the wagon, or I should say getting on the wagon and becoming sober and clean.
Yeah, they can come to our program. We go through through some steps to differentiate if some of these people want to come off and get help. Not everybody may want to do that. That's the thing. We don't want to shove the gospel down anybody's throat. It's the gospel's there. We want to help them, through this, issues that they're going through. But not everybody wants to go through that process called the recovery program.
Sure. We're having a conversation with Carlos Baldovinos and Jeff Gowling on Taking Care of Business on Kern Radio Newstalk 1180. So basically, you've got people that, and I noticed how you've got the facility sectioned off in a way which is brilliant, I thought, where behind the complex on the other side of it, you've got the chow hall, where you've got people that may come in there off the street who just need a hot meal, right? So you've got it kind of segregated that way?
Yeah, that whole campus, the Kennedy Center there, longtime supporter of the mission, that center it comes in handy. We have the kitchen back there. We have the dining hall. We have the computer, the learning center that's back there. So some key components of what we do are stationed there. Yes, these facilities are to serve the ones that may want a meal off the street. They also serve just the community as a whole.
Carlos, what is the size of the campus?
Boy, we have it's about 5 or 6 buildings that are housed for overnight guests. We have administration that's there. We have just a little campus that we can do concerts and those kind of things that churches often use to come in and feed the overnight guests. We have the Kurt Kennedy Center, another building that's just right across the street as well, that we just talked about, where we have the dining hall and learning center. We have a transitional housing that is right across in the other side of the campus that's helping men that are, once they graduate, to start on their own. We have some guidelines for these folks, but we want to, in the future, buy more transitional housing so we can house more men and women that want to better themselves even after graduation.
How about the size of acres? How many acres do you have?
Boy, that's
there?
a great question. I do not know that.
Okay. Well, one of the other things I know you have over there is clothing, where people could donate clothing so that your residents would be able to upgrade their wardrobe so that they can go out and apply for a job.
That's right. We do have it's called a distribution center, and this is outfitted by the local communities, giving us their donations, clothing, shoes, jackets, a nice sports jacket, those kind of things that are to help, our population.
It's funny, I got to go into the distribution center and take a look at it yesterday.
He got a new suit yesterday.
Was it Armani?
Armani, there you go. And Clay got a place to stay last night. So worked out well for all of us. Speaking of Clay spending the night there, that reminds me of something I was going to ask you. For the homeless people that may stay there for a couple of weeks, or they're free to go and come back, right?
That's correct.
So what kind of restrictions do you have on them as far as making sure they're not, they go out to get stoned and then come back and take advantage of the...
Yeah, we have folks that are looking after our facility is a drug-free facility, smoke-free facility, so those things are monitored all the time. So we do random drug testing and alcohol testing as well, with different test kits that are out there, and we do the best job we can to put those things in place. Obviously, we don't want somebody that's coming in that is stoned, because who knows what that might create for the other guests that are there.
Sure, it's totally disruptive
That's
to what
right.
you're trying to do. I noticed you had a gate that people have to go through, and there's somebody out there who I would assume is monitoring just the way people look when they come back.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And those monitors change all the time. They're 24/7. We actually do close those gates down after 10 p.m. just so we don't have the outside public coming in and having those drop-ins, because nothing good happens after midnight.
Right, exactly.
So we try to set those parameters in place.
Yeah. You know, the other thing I noticed, which was kind of interesting, walking into the different units, it was set up to where the people aren't in there just hanging around. They're actually doing something. There's activity going on because, again, if they're just sitting there, they're not really doing anything constructive, and who knows what could be going on if they're just sitting there in their bunks all day long. So you're making them work a little bit, which is great.
That's right.
Yeah, that's great. We'll be back in a minute with Carlos Baldovinos, right? Am I pronouncing that properly? Carlos Baldovinos from the Bakersfield Rescue Mission, and Jeff Gowling from Bridge Bible Church on Taking Care of Business, Kern Radio Newstalk 1180.